Okay, welcome everyone to this webinar on Agentic AI. We are running different webinars every Wednesday in the field of Agentic AI. We talked about how Agentic AI is changing the whole paradigm in the month of March. This month, our theme is how it is being used in different domains. The topic of today's discussion is a very interesting one. We are talking about how Agentic AI is changing the HR ecosystem. So we all have dealt with HR either from the HR side or from the other side, whether as employees or whether as applicants or whether as people who are maybe dealing with HR day in and day out. We all have felt that there are some problems in the traditional way the HR systems are being created and held. We are going to see how agentic AI and how whole of this AI system is going to change in which HR people interact. Is going to change in which this whole system works and works with great efficiency. But before we do that, let's first see what are the problems in a traditional HR system. So, if we talk about the major problems, we all have experienced that when there is a manual screening of the resume, when the systems are traditional, it takes a lot of time to review the resumes, and then also it can be subjective depending on who sir is reviewing the resume. So there is inconsistent evaluation which happens, which many applicants do complain. From the HR side, the whole system is very time taking and kind of a headache. Then after the screening, the job doesn't end for an HR. That person has to schedule the different interviews for the people who got selected or going to the second round. I mean, there's so much hassles which are there, and so many back and forth emails which have to be handled, which wastes a lot of valuable time. Something which can be automated because things are quite repetitive here. So the traditional HR system, it does create a lot of bottlenecks which can slow down the whole hiring and firing, and which can frustrate not only the candidates but also the HR team. So overall, the experience becomes quite poor in a traditional HR system. Now, keeping all these issues in mind is how the AI systems can come up and solve the problems. So, AI system, agentic AI system, to be very precise, comes in and solve all the problems that we have discussed, and not only that, much more than that. So, AI system can, on its own, do the resume screening, match it with the job descriptions, keeping in mind all the qualifications and experiences and skills of those employees. I mean, prospective employees, okay, against the JD, and then screen the resume that this person has been shortlisted for the interview. This person needs to try again, is kind of rejected. And not only that, it's going to rank the candidates as well, because that's a major problem for the HR people. If we're doing it traditionally, we cannot decide very objectively that, okay, based on the requirements of what my JD has, the job description had, these candidates are selected. But if, let's say, the requirement was for 10 people and 20 people are meeting the criteria, how to select those top 10? Now, all these can be taken care with the help of agentic AI systems. So, intelligent comparisons, prioritization, depending on the relevance and the fitting of the prospective employees of based on the requirements. And it doesn't end there. It's not just resume filtering and the job is done. It goes further. The agentic AI systems can further, depending on the people who got selected and who got rejected, the interviews can be scheduled as well. The people who got rejected will get an email in their email boxes saying that you can try again, but your resume is not matching our requirement. Not only this resume thing, which takes a lot of major chunk of the time which HR is involved in, we can create agentic AI workflows completely automated, which can solve the queries of the employees. So this is something which we all who are into corporates have always felt that depending on the bandwidth of the HR people, we have got some queries depending on the policies or the benefits which we want to know, or the leave policy which we want to know, and we get a reply which is asynchronous, right? So not the fault of the HR system. That's how, I mean, they depending on the bandwidth, but we can create agentic AI systems which can give instant replies to all the queries which the employees have, which enhances the overall experience of the employees in the company. And not only that, the third thing which HR system does traditionally as well is the management of the people who are joining in, the onboarding process, which is a very cumbersome process, and the leaving process as well. Now, the hiring and firing, this whole systems can be taken care with the help of an agentic AI workflows with minimum intervention of humans. So this is what we are moving into. We all, everywhere we hear about agentic AI and how things are being changed, and how we recently heard about different layoffs as well. And the systems are changing for sure. And this thing is gonna stay. We are still in the nascent stage of these technologies. We are still in the beginning of how workflows are taking over all the repetitive tasks which are happening across the industry in different domains. Right? So definitely AI agents are a game changer, whether that we talk about the nuances in the workflows, which has a lot of unpredictability, and then dissatisfaction can come in if there is some bias in that. Now, these systems can be created objectively, which are mapped to the different parts of the candidate so that anyone who is suited as per the job description doesn't miss the interview. It can also take care of the dynamic decisions, which is a big thing if we talk about the traditional system. Because if the HR system has to do all things all over again, it's a big headache. These agentic AI systems can take care of this dynamicity as well. So if there's something, some policy changed in between, the requirement changed in between, some steps evolved, all that can be taken care dynamically by these agentic AI workflows. So all the headache gone, all the hassles gone, all the biasness gone, resulting in efficiency and time saving and efficient saving, which can be utilized in something other, some other thing which is more productive. Right. So AI agents are definitely a game changer in every domain. Today we're talking about the HR domain. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump in directly into the demonstration. We're going to use a tool called NA10, which is a very popular tool in today's time for building autonomous workflows. And in that, we're going to build a resume reviewer in which there will be people who will be filling up a form. That form data will be analyzed by the LLMs. That is the brain of this AI agents. And based on the matching of those resume text with the job descriptions, the person will be either shortlisted or rejected. And it doesn't end there. It's not just shortlisting and rejection. Based on the person getting shortlisted, that person will get an email saying that, okay, you are being selected for the interview. This is the venue of the interview scheduled on this and this date. If the person is rejected, that person will get an email as well, but saying that, okay, you can try again. You are rejected based on the requirements which we had for this particular job requirement. Okay, so all these things can be taken care by the autonomous agents. Let's get down to NA10 now. I'll stop sharing and share that screen. Okay, so let me share my screen. Okay, so I hope you guys can see the screen. I think it's visible. Now, before we go ahead and start the workflow and understand how this is being created, since we are doing a demo here, so I've already created the things for you so that we can just focus on how the workflow is working, how does the decision flow across this particular scheme of things. So before we do that, we just need to understand the context. What we are doing here, we have got a form, a Google form for simplicity. People are filling up a form. Based on whatever they fill in the form, that data gets stored in a Google Sheet. For simplicity, again, we're just taking three data: the name, email, and the resume text. Again, resume text is what I'm taking. I'm just taking a few lines of the resume, the major ones. And we're going to compare two resumes, one which is suited as per the job description of a data analyst, and one which is not so suited for a job of a data analyst. And we'll see how the workflow flows first in the shortlisting category, another one in the rejection category. So it's going to be interesting. Let's see how things work. Okay, now coming to the workflow, you can see there are different nodes in here. So all those who have attended our previous webinars would be aware that in a NA10 workflow, each of these objects which you see is called a node, and this is called a connection. So you can see that whenever workflow has to be created and has to be executed, the first thing is always a trigger, the trigger which will trigger the workflow to get started. In this case, we are using a Google Sheets trigger. So whenever a new row gets added, whenever a new row gets updated, this whole workflow will get triggered and start executing. And that's what we want, right? So whenever a person is filling up a form, we all know that the data gets recorded in the Google Sheet. So whenever a person fills up a form, data gets recorded in the Google Sheet, and as soon as a new row gets added, this workflow is triggered. Once that workflow is triggered, this data from this Google Sheet flows into LLM. Now, for the sake of simplicity, we are using Grok, which is a very popular free LLM. So this goes to a Grok. Now, based on whatever Grok analyzes the resume with, so either a shortlisting or a rejection, we have got an if node here. That means if, and let me show you what's inside if as well. So I put it very simply that if whatever the LLM has decided, if that contains the word shortlist, then this if condition becomes true and we move on to the true path of this workflow. Otherwise, the person gets rejected and we move to the down path here. Both of them you can observe has got LLMs of their own and have got Gmail nodes of their own, right? So this whole workflow which you are seeing takes care of a requirement of resume reviewing, screening it as per the requirement of the job description. In few minutes, we're going to see another version of this same workflow, but with the help of a single block called Agentic AI block. We're going to come to that. That's more interesting. But this is how this is inside the logic. If we know the rules, then this is what we can create. So let's see. The first one which we are going to have here is a person which has got strong skills in Python, SQL, and Power BI. So probably this is the person who's going to get selected for the requirement which we have, which the company has posted. So let's see. We're going to execute the workflow now, and we should get an email. So parallelly, let's open up Gmail as well. Okay, so we are going to open up the email which I've given in this sheet, which is this email. So I'm going to open that Gmail here. Okay, so this is an older one which we had tested before. For the sake of simplicity, let me just delete these from here so that whenever new email comes in, we can see that. Okay, so now let's, without further ado, let's go ahead and execute the workflow. I'm going to click on execute workflow in n8n. So as soon as each node works, you can see that this is the flow which is being observed here. So first we started with the trigger, then it went on to the LLM, then this flew into the if block. Based on the resume text matching the job description, which was for a data analyst, this flows into the true set, and this true cycle goes ahead and sends an email to the person who is now shortlisted for the interview. So let's see whether we have received an email or not. And bingo, we have got the email here, which says interview invitation. We are pleased to inform you that you have been selected to proceed the interview stage for the position, blah, blah, blah. And it takes care of all the other details as well, like the location of the interview, the timing of the interview. Everything can be mapped inside the LLM. So see, this is what can be automated. And the one that we are seeing here is just a simplified version of what autonomous workflows are doing in today's time. This is just a simplified version for the sake of demonstration. Interesting. Now let's see. Now we are now moving into agentic AI systems, right? This is a workflow, but here I had to hard code that how the flow goes. So we have got our own if block and then LLM blocks and email writing and everything. I want simplification as a user, right? What I want is that I should get a Google Sheets trigger, then some block which takes care of not only the decisions, but also the actions. I'll connect the tools to it and just then a Gmail node. Just simplified system is what I want. All this logic which I have built myself, I want the agent to take care of that. I want the AI to take care of that. So that can also be done. So let's go ahead and see that workflow. So this is that workflow. You can see here now this is much simplified now. So you got a trigger has to be there, then only the workflow will get triggered. Now this trigger data directly flows into the AI agent. This AI agent is gonna not only take the decisions, it's not only gonna suggest, but also do the actions. That's why it's called an AI agent. It will need some brain, so we have connected the free LLM, the Grok chat model. It will take assistance from this chat model to do something. Now, what is that something? All those decisions like whether the person is shortlisted or not, whether the person is rejected, and then based on person is shortlisted or rejected, we have to send an email. So this is much simplified version of the same logic which we had seen earlier. Now let's go ahead and try to execute this one and see if the AI agent can take care of all those nuances or not. And bingo, we've got that. We've got the trigger the AI agent, took help from the chat model, and then sent the message. Let's see whether we've got a fresh email here or not. And we have got it, right? It says that result of resume review. Dear Swapnil, we are pleased to inform you that after reviewing your resume, this is blah, blah, blah. The format which you're seeing is a bit different, which we saw earlier, because that's something which I programmed for the sake of simplicity. But yes, this is also taking care of the same requirement which we had, right? Interesting, right? So this is just the starting phase of agentic AI. We have so many things which you can bring in. Let me show you one more workflow, which is much more complex. So I'm not going to execute this. I'm not just going to show you this, that how complex workflows can be created. So not only just reviewing of the resume, we can go ahead and do multiple things. For example, a person fills up a form. You can see here the person fills up a form. This uploads a CV. That CV gets uploaded to a Google Drive. Then the applicant details are fetched from it and stored in an Airtable. Then the CV is downloaded from the Google Drive, and then the data is extracted and given to the AI agent. Now, AI agent will take care of the AI table, will fetch data from the Airtable, give a JSON output. Those people from programming will understand that, and then use some LLM. Here, I'm using a Gemini LLM. Then, if the person gets shortlisted, then it becomes a potential hire, because then the interviews have to be put up. If the person is rejected, the node just ends there, because we don't do anything for the people who got rejected. If the person was shortlisted, then another AI agent comes in who again uses some LLM model and takes data from the Airtable and then creates some questionnaires for those people to fill in. The person will fill up the questionnaire. That's also another form which gets stored for our future reference into the Airtable. Then whatever they had filled up again goes to another AI agent, which will, based on whether the person got selected in the interview questionnaire or not, that person will receive an email about the invitation that you have been called for the interview and this and that. And then the scheduling will happen. So you got a Google Calendar here as well. So based on the person got selected, there will be some meeting schedule in the Google Calendar. That invite will be sent along with this email. And finally, the phone meeting time will be set up for our records. Then finally, the screening questions will be put up as well, whether the person is finally selected in the interview. If the person gets selected, then that gets stored in a simple memory. If he or she is not selected, then also that data gets stored in the screening questions. So this is a much more complex form of HR autonomous systems. This will keep it for some other day, right? So, but I hope that this webinar would have given you a decent amount of idea of how agentic AI is changing the paradigm of HR. So whenever next time you're talking to an HR, you can give a link to this video that you can use these systems which Exaltis is talking about, and we can create our systems more efficient. With that, I'll stop here. Thank you very much for joining this webinar, and stay tuned for the